Let's talk about all things travel, both on land and by air, with our next guest, travel correspondent, the Independent, Simon Calder. A very good morning, good afternoon to you. Sorry, Simon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Thanks for joining us. Where are you?
I'm in beautiful Bournemouth.
Beautiful Bournemouth. That's not. I thought it was going to be somewhere a little bit more. No offence to people in Bournemouth, somewhere a little bit more exotic. Right. Well, if you wanted to get a flight now, you normally have to book a seat. It's economy or it's business class or first class. If you're very, very lucky, I don't know if the expenses, the Independent extent of that. They probably don't. But now there's going to be an option of going by standing rather than seating after the a plan, well, design for I suppose a better expression could be, must be a better one than this, a standing seat on an airline has been approved by the safety experts, and budget airlines are looking at bringing them in within a year. What would this actually involve?
Well, the technology is as follows. Yes, it's a bit like a standing seat. If you've been on the London Tube, you will be aware that there's places where you can kind of perch on a kind of cushion.
Sort of bum level, aren't they, really?
That's a very good way of putting it. So these are going to be seats which actually have a firm back. Yeah. But and then it's almost a kind of saddle design. So it'll be a little bit like being on a horse or a bicycle, only you're on a plane. And the design means that you can actually get a lot more people in. Because if you think about it, when you're sitting reasonably comfortably, your legs are taking up a fair amount of room. They've got to allow enough room for people to be able to escape in the event of an emergency evacuation. And that's the real constraint. And so the idea is you can put in maybe 10 rows of these standing seats. And when they were first thought about a decade or two ago, Michael O'Leary, the boss of Ryanair, said, we're going to charge a pound or £5 if you're prepared to stand. That won't quite happen. And personally, I would be quite surprised if this happened within a year or indeed within 5 years.
I mean, the main thing is, and again, I suppose people be belted in, but, be concerned if there was turbulence. But also, what if someone just starts feeling unwell? How convenient during the flight and they need to have a seat. I mean, again, also, deep veins from both sides. I always have to put, a double pair of those socks on. Otherwise, I've got ankles about, the size of my thighs. And it's like, surely it'd be worse if you were standing, not sitting. I'm thinking this could be an absolute disaster, quite apart from the fact that, can we really get any more people into the space on a budget airline?
Well, there is a really important aspect, which is that an aircraft has to be certified for the number of people who can leave that aircraft in an emergency, and it has to be able to do it within 90 seconds. But there is no kind of fundamental reason why you couldn't use this on short hops. I'm thinking Manchester to Dublin, where you're in the air for maximum half an hour. Many of us are used to standing up on trains for
I was just going to
long.
say, people stand on trains all the time,
And the main technical issue is that you need to make sure that everybody is safe and belted in, because the seats that you've already got on planes, you might not think much of them, but they are absolutely designed with safety in mind to make sure that they can withstand an emergency and very sharp deceleration.
Yeah, I have to say, I think actually, weirdly, on a lot of the budget airlines, the seats are more comfy now because they've got those modern planes, very, very, very thin but high seats, and you actually can go into your little cocoon world. I've got a 34 inside leg, so I definitely need my leg space. I can tell you that. Let's talk also about travelling on land, which is what most people do rather more often. And worst thing, parking. I have to say, I remember taking my daughter to hospital about a year or so ago, and could not. I was like, an app. Oh my God, this is a new app at the hospital. I don't have this app. And when we were in casualty, I do not have a good enough phone reception so I can download the app. I remember going upstairs, messaging my husband saying, "Can you download this app and can you pay for the parking? I don't know how long I'll be here." Absolutely matters. I've got sides of the road, different councils in my area where genuinely I've got 2 different apps for different sides of the same street. It's absolute chaos. Someone apparently has come up with the idea that we should have a national parking platform where you can pay for all of your parking on a single app. Hail, thank God for that. But why did it take so long?
Well, and don't expect it to be ready tomorrow. And first of all, I'm so sorry. Everybody, I think, will be listening to your story. There you are, incredibly stressed, deeply upset and concerned, of course, because it's a medical emergency, and you are having to worry about paying for parking. It's just awful. So the idea is the national parking platform was kind of begun 6 years ago, and then of course COVID happened, and then various other things happened, and now the government says it's going to be rolled out but using private companies to do that. And it's going to be trialled in places like Manchester and Peterborough and Coventry, but the idea will be, yes, you've just got a very straightforward app. I mean, I guess an equivalent would be something like Uber, which you can use in Plymouth and you can use in Perth, and the same thing will get you the service that you need. And honestly, it can't come soon enough. Whether it can actually be coordinated with all the individual local authorities and hospitals and everything else remains to be seen. But good luck, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, that would just make such a difference to so many people. It really, really would. I mean, I'm amazed anyone's allowed to park anywhere these days, but that's another story entirely. Simon Calder, travel correspondent at The Independent in Bournemouth. Thank you very much indeed. Philip Ingram, I mean, just talking about the parking app, that would be a game changer for a lot of people, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I've got half a dozen parking apps, and it's going in and trying to work out
which one's this one. Again, you log in and it always says, oh, you haven't used it for a month. Can you download the update? No, I can't. I haven't got a signal.
And you know, hospitals, for some reason around hospitals, signals are terrible.
Yeah, what is that about?
I don't know what it is. I go into my local hospital and there's no signal inside it at all.
Same in our local hospital as well. What do you think about standing on a plane?
Well, I think those seats are almost a readaptation of a design of the seats on rib boats, and I'm a powerboat
he's always
skipper, and I quite
Love
like
it.
them. I find them quite comfortable as you're bouncing around and all the rest of it. So, you know, in rough conditions, they're actually quite good and can be quite safe. Yeah,
because I suppose you can brace yourself, but again,
exactly.
there would have to be a requirement that you were fit and healthy enough to do it. Not very good if you're travelling, you know, with kids. You
and adjust your height so that you can have them for different sized people. Yeah.
Oh, there you are then.